Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of Rob Zombie's 31. This, of course, is a horror film that came out back in 2016 and stars Sheri Moon Zombie, Rob Zombie's wife, along with Richard Brake as Doomhead. But yeah, 31 was a movie I was actually eager to see for a little while. Like I said, it came back out in 2016. For some reason, I haven't seen it until now. I always wanted to, and I finally just bought it the other day. And I do like Rob Zombie's movies. I mean, I think I like his Halloween films more than some people seem to. Don't get me wrong, I have my issues with them too, but I definitely need to give House of 1,000 Corpses and Devil's Rejects a look sometime. But I don't mind his way of filmmaking. And with this one, I was pretty excited because the premise, is fairly simple. It's basically these sort of, it's like a common character style in Rob Zombie's movies, though, to have sort of like generic white trash as characters, and that's kind of the case here. But it's set in the 70s. It's about 5 carnies who are kidnapped by a gang of clowns called the Heads and forced to play a survival game called 31, where they're chased by the clowns through a maze of rooms over 12 hours. The penalty for capture being torture and murder, while bets are placed on their progress. Yeah, so that's basically what it is. Sheri Moon Zombie is the main, lead, I guess, in this one, you could say. And her and her friends are just traveling down the road. Then they basically get attacked and roped into this situation. So I like the premise of it. It's not. It reminds you of like a Purge kind of thing, mixed with like the Hunger Games and stuff like that. So I was excited for it just by the premise, just because it could be like have crazy, brutal fun, right? And overall, I gotta say it was a little bit disappointing for me. I didn't like it as much as I thought I was going to. I still don't mind owning it, which we'll talk more about in a few minutes as to why I actually don't mind having it in my collection. But it just didn't really have that same excitement or just fun, chaotic, brutal nature that I was expecting. It felt, I don't know, it felt like it wasn't fully realized in a certain way, I guess. As far as like the performances go, there is one really good one, Richard Brake's character as Doomhead, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. But as far as like the regular characters go, Sheri Moon Zombie, she does a fine job. Rob Zombie keeps on putting her in his films, which is alright. She's not a bad actress. She did give a good performance, I know, in the first Halloween movie as Michael's mother. And I haven't seen much of her elsewhere, honestly, but she's not a bad actress. She's alright. Then the others that play her friends are fine as well. I feel like they could have been played by anyone, though. And the characters themselves, in my opinion, were a little bit wooden. They didn't really have much to them, honestly. And it is kind of getting typical for them just to make them to like these white trash, sort of like drug addicted type of people. I don't know. You do have Meg Foster in there, who's been in quite a few things. She was even on the originals on the CW. She's in Jeepers Creepers 3 recently. And she's a fine actress as well. You also have Malcolm McDowell. He's Father Napoleon. He's basically one of the people running, the show here. One of them that are placing bets on, like survival odds and everything. We don't see much of him, but he's fine, again, in his role. Just really not much to the characters. They have like Lou Temple, who's kind of like a regular in Rob Zombie movies. He's a Sickhead, who I believe is one of the Chainsaw Brothers, I think, in the movie. Psycho Head and Schizo Head. Sickhead's the midget, actually, excuse me. But yeah. As far as those go, as far as the killers themselves, like I said, there's Schizo Head and excuse me. Schizo Head and Psycho Head, who were, kind of fun. Although you would have thought they were more threatening than they actually were. I felt like more characters should have died when they both came with chainsaws. They were alright, though. Then he had Sickhead, who is this little Mexican, I guess, but Nazi Hitler obsessed freak. He was kind of fun to watch at the beginning. But I definitely feel like those killers could have had more oomph to them. And then there's like a big tall Russian with like a hammer kind of thing, and then this twisted Harley Quinn kind of girl who was alright as well. But a lot of these sequences and like fight scenes, I guess you could say, confrontations, they could have been filmed a lot better. It was a lot of shaky cam, it was a lot of like zoom in, and it was kind of hard to keep up with it. Sometimes kind of hard to fully tell what was going on exactly. So that was disappointing. Luckily, who ended up saying the luckily, who ended up saving the movie was again Richard Brake's character Doomhead, who I thought did a really, really good job as the character, despite the name. Rob Zombie had promised before the movie came out that he could be like a new horror icon or something, and I could see the potential for him there. Because Doomhead, he definitely stood out. Richard Brake did a great job with all his mannerisms. He's like a really, really creepy, very brutal, very dark version of the Joker. So I thought he was a lot of fun actually, and really good to watch. I think his character alone deserves another movie or two. I'm not sure if that's going to happen now though, because this movie was almost entirely crowdfunded, by the way, as far as I know. Rob Zombie claims that the movies like this are harder to get made these days, which they kind of are. But he did save the movie. His performance is really fun to watch. He was really creepy, intimidating, despite his more skinny, lanky nature. He was still really creepy and sort of scary, I guess. He definitely has that charisma that you look for in memorable killers and horror movies. I think he was really good. But the rest of the movie, like I said, was unfortunately pretty disappointing. I think I was expecting the kills to be more memorable. I was expecting the fight scenes to be more memorable, more craziness with the premise. It sort of lacked that. And there's like an atmosphere that I was expecting too, with them being trapped in here. I never really got hit with that atmosphere that I was expecting with the premise. Like claustrophobic, walls closing in kind of thing. I didn't really feel worried, and again, it's because the characters weren't very good either, as far as the regular ones go. Not totally terrible, but definitely not as good as I was expecting. And if I had to rate, I know it got cut down quite a few times to get to the R rating, and the violence was okay. There were a couple moments, there was a good amount of gore and everything, but it didn't really feel like a memorable amount, I guess. But if I had to rate 31 right now, I'm giving it about a C. I did like the ending, by the way. It is a little bit annoying though, just because Doomhead runs out of time, even though he's supposed to be like this expert and the best killer they have. But he taunts Sheri Moon Zombie and sort of toys with her too long, and the time runs out, and he's supposed to leave her alone after that. But he tracks her down, and it's basically left ambiguous, but it's really meant to imply that Doomhead probably killed her at that point. They play Aerosmith's Dream On, by the way. That's one other thing. The soundtrack was pretty good on this. So I'm giving it a C for now. But if it wasn't for Richard Brake's Doomhead and him actually being kind of notable and memorable in the role, it probably would have been like a D something. It was just kind of a disappointing movie overall. Richard Brake saves it though. So yeah, let me you guys thought about 31. If you've seen it, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.